Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mindset Monday. I am happy to be here today, and my gosh, what a week I've had, I have to tell you. Um, I'm happy I survived it. But congratulations to my company, Gila Root, and congratulations to me. After 32 years, I have sold our final location, and I'm kind of a free agent in a way, um, but still so hooked in because they are my loves or my 32-year loves. So it has been an emotional week filled with joy and a little feeling of loss and everything in between. And so it's taken a minute for me to kind of drop into myself and put my feet on the ground. It's been a whirlwind of a week. Good morning, Andrea. I see you guys. I see all of you popping in. Good morning. Good morning, Sam, Kristen. Good to see you. Derek, great to see you. Thank you so much. What a week, you guys. Oh my gosh. Once I can process everything that has gone on with the sale of my company slash companies, we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll have a lot to talk about. It's a little too soon for me to kind of, wrap this all up in my brain and start a series on succession plans, which is exactly what I did. And so it's been a wild ride, and I'm still on the ride. I haven't gotten off yet. But today, I want to talk about creating support for you guys as owners and support through leadership and through hiring managers. And it's been a question that's come up from a lot of you guys lately as you start to um, expand yourself as leaders and work on your business and see that, you know what, you are going to need some help. And what does that help look like? And how do we get a great manager? And I have to say that I have a lot of experience in this department over 32 years of ownership. And I'm going to have a bragging moment here that I have a manager that's still in the salon today that has been with me 24 years. I have a director who actually was one of the co-purchasers of my business. It's been with me 17 years. And so I take our leadership team really, really seriously. And so cultivating great leaders it takes time. And I've made mistakes for sure along the way with 3 locations. I've had some cultivation of people that have felt easier, and I've had some nightmares. And so I want to talk about kind of all the things around hiring great leaders, hiring managers for your businesses. It's a really big decision when we get to a point in our career that we say, gosh, I can't do it all myself. And that takes a while. It takes a couple years before you can pretty much say, I need to hire a manager that is walking side by side with me. You need to learn all the ins and outs yourself. You need to see what your business needs. And so once you're ready to step away from every single responsibility that we have as an owner, which is massive, let's talk about best practices to hire support systems in our company. And I forgot, one of you guys, you might be in here this morning, that asked me to speak on this, I think 2 weeks ago. And then last week was my signing to sell my business and launch it to our team. And I just couldn't even do a live last week. I was emotionally, I was too full. My brain was too full. So I'm back here to talk about it today. Um, so I, let's just kick this off. So over 32 years of owning and operating multiple businesses, I've needed managers, and I have promoted from within, and I have sought out people through ads because we didn't have anyone at the time that could move into that position. And what I will tell you is that when you're looking for a manager, somebody to walk side by side with you, they have to know how you make decisions. They have to know who you are as a company and as a culture. They have to know what your core values are. They have to know all of these things in order to be able to replicate the culture that you've created. Imagine hiring somebody from outside your company and putting a stamp on their forehead that says you're now the manager, and your staff are so confused and they may not be making decisions that align with who you've been, which could completely upset the apple cart. And those apples, your staff, could start dropping off. So when I say that hiring a leader, hiring a manager is a huge decision, it is a decision that I definitely don't take lightly. And I have some I'm just going to say strong opinions about the way I think it works the best. It doesn't mean it's the only way. It just means it's only my opinion. So, we all have opinions. What do they say about opinions? We all have one. So, um, I want to tell you a little story, and then I'm going to get into kind of my key points around what to look out for when hiring a leader, a manager, someone to walk side by side with you. I'm so happy to see you guys all jumping in. Hi, Dolly, Nicole, good to see you. Jennifer, Con, Renee, Sam, great to see you guys. Um, so when we opened our second location, it was an easier transition for leadership and management because one of my employees that had been with me for years partnered with me to open my next location, and she was became the manager, and she had only worked for our company, and so our culture was ingrained in her. So it was a stretch to learn how to be a manager, because learning how to be a leader is so layered. You don't wake up and say, I'm a great manager. I mean, it's like blood, sweat, and tears to end up arriving at a place where you feel really comfortable in your leadership skin. But location number two, it was a bit of an easier time with respect to the culture, because Carla, who was my business partner, only knew our culture. When we opened our third location and we needed a manager in that location, it became a little bit rough. And so what we did with that location, and then I'm going to backtrack to cultivating people inside our company, but what we did in that location was my biggest learning experience in hiring managers, because my managers before that have been with me for a really long time it's been a really organic process. And I want to talk about how that organic process came to be, but I'll first stick with this story about our third location. We didn't have a manager. I put an ad out for a manager. And I put an ad out for somebody that had been in a leadership position before, that preferably was in the beauty industry, that had sales experience. I always put in there that they have sales experience. And one of the reasons you're thinking, well, they're a manager, why do they have to have sales experience? They don't have to. But what I have found, even when I'm looking for people that work the front desk, is if somebody has sales experience, they may be a little bit more outgoing. They're comfortable in their skin. They're okay with rejection. They're okay approaching people. And so there's a skill set there if you are a salesperson that is also needed to be a manager, in my opinion, because you also need to sell ideas. You have to sell yourself. And so to walk in being afraid of selling things, including yourself, may be a little more challenging for somebody that doesn't have that skill set. So we had somebody that answered the ad that on paper looked to be an amazing manager for our third location. And this person was an amazing person. They had very similar backgrounds, very similar company that they worked for in a different state. And um, and I was so excited because I thought, wow, this is just going to line up perfectly. And what I found out is their experience, although super similar, was not our company. And I still think it was a great hire, but for the wrong position. So what happened was when we hired this person, they had a skill set of leadership, but didn't know who we are and what our decision making practices were. So to put an automatic title on this person puts this person under pressure to perform at a level and a standard that our team is used to, but they don't have the experience in our company to be able to perform at that level. Does that make sense? So we didn't set this person up to win, and we had to do a lot of backtracking to get this person even halfway to where we needed them to be in order for them to, for me, feel comfortable to make decisions, lead the team, drive the vision and the mission. So this person was with us for a while, and I to this day just have really fond memories. It wasn't the best decision though for me to hire from the outside and put this stamp called manager on their forehead and say, run with it. It was a huge learning lesson for me. So when we were looking for another leader for our location, I was looking for the same type of person, but I wasn't hiring them for a manager. I was hiring them to work our front desk. And maybe would that be a demotion for some people? Maybe it might be in the beginning, but I had somebody, we put the same ad out, and I had somebody drop on our doorstep that was amazing, amazing experience. I thought, oh my God, I'm so tempted because I need help. I'm so tempted to just put a manager stamp on this person's forehead. And I didn't let myself, and I wouldn't let myself from that day forward. I said to this person, look, you have amazing experience, like 20 years of experience that I've never even had. But I can't hire you for this specific position right away. But it's a goal for you to be a manager of this location. But I have to hire you for front desk, guest relations. And I felt, and I said to this person, I feel so horrible even saying this because I feel like I'm not honoring your career of who you've been in your career. But in order for it to work for us, even though I felt desperate to hire somebody, again, our third location, we still have 2 locations running. I needed help. We needed help. The team needed, everybody needed help. I said, are you able to come on? And if we can get our shit together over the next 6 months, I can move you to an assistant manager position. And then possibly 6 months after that, I can move you to a management position. So to me, that's still hiring from within. That's promoting from within to a position. I have a mantra that I've lived by, and I know if any of my staff are on this call, they will be able to speak it for me. And that mantra is, be now what you want to become. And I've said this for years, and I say this to myself as much as I say it to my son, as much as I have said it to my staff. Be now who you want to become. Let people see you being the person that you want to be in the position you want to be at before you are in that position. Because then you will automatically become it. And this has been a mantra of mine. And this mantra, be now what you want to become, will be a thread of everything that we talk about here today. Because when I hired this front desk person with the hopes of them becoming a leader of this location, I had to see this person showing up in that position that I needed them to be before they could be it. My goalpost, I'll say, in order to promote this person even to assistant manager, was that they showed up in a way that even the team would say to me, how come this person isn't a leader yet? Why have you not promoted this person to manager? That's what I was looking for. And I told this person when we were interviewing, this is the position that I can only hire you for. And it's for your benefit. It's for the team's benefit and your benefit to not put undue pressure on you to perform at a level that you don't have the tools yet for this company to perform at that level. And you have to become this and humble yourself. Take the skill set that you have, but come in here and say, I don't know anything about this company. Teach me. That's what I'm looking for, so that you can get the DNA of our company to become a decision maker for the company. And DNA takes a while. Those cells of your company, of the culture and your values, they take a while to grow and to cultivate. And it comes through teaching, and it comes through a specific path that we have to put people on so that they can actually become the person that we're looking for. So this person said to me, wow, I didn't expect to start as a front desk person. That's not really what my history has brought me to. I said, I know, I feel horrible even asking you, that this is all I can do right now. But I guarantee you, if this is a connect, we're going to thrive. And so this person took a risk, and I took a risk. You know, people can show up a certain way on paper. People can talk a really good talk. But until they are in your business for months, do you know how they're going to show up for your company, for you, and for your team? Which is why I would never hire somebody, this is me and only my humble opinion, I would never hire somebody and say, you're now the manager, let me put that stamp on your head and go take off running. So we hired this person, and it was tough. It was tough for this person because everything they knew didn't all translate over to my company. And it took 6 months for my team to start saying, he should be our manager. Like, we need help, you need help, you're split, right? Like, and then he became the assistant manager, not the manager. And there was an assistant manager job description that this person had to get trained into. And as they were being trained into an assistant manager position with certain additional privileges and areas that they could start flexing their muscle, we were then training for a management role. So the difference, there's a distinct difference between an assistant manager and a manager in my company. And so there was a training path for all of a sudden the team to say, this person should just be the manager. They've been running things and they're doing amazing. That was my goalpost. That's what I was looking for. And that's indeed what happened. It took a year. So we did hire from outside, but we promoted from within. So I'm nowhere in here saying, look, don't put an ad out, don't find some great person. You can do that, but that person that you think is great, you're going to have rose-colored glasses on. And if you're hiring out of desperation because you need help, you may make a decision where your lenses are foggy. And you might say, oh my gosh, if you have a pulse, you're in because I need help. And this could be the biggest detriment to your company. So people, if they want a leadership role, same thing with our educators. If they want a leadership role, they can't be the person that comes in late, that talks shit in the back room, that doesn't show up for work, that has a ton of redos. And like one day I'm going to say, I need an educator. You should be that person. People, that is not how we grow a culture. We promote based on merit, based on people showing up to be that person, and you know that is innately who they are. So it's not a stretch to then train them into who you want them to be. I have a lot of coaching clients that I work with that have made decisions because they needed somebody, and a lot of our sessions are, how do we undo what has been done because I made decisions out of desperation? We've all done it. We've dug ourselves in different depths of holes, some shallow, some deep. But I want you guys to make decisions out of being inspired because somebody is showing up to be that person that you need. I have one more really quick story and then I'm going to get to my points, but I'm hoping that some of these stories are giving you a little bit of insight as to the importance of promoting the right person. So years and years ago, I'm going to say, probably 25 years ago, maybe 22 years ago, I had a manager in my salon. He was a manager for me for about 8 years, and he and my education director decided to leave and open their own salon without me knowing, down the street. Can everybody relate? And I was gutted, and I wasn't doing clients at the time. I think I've told this story before. I ended up had to do all the clients and do the education and manage a salon. And I had team members, one of them maybe are on here today, Andrea, who's still with me. I had two people that showed up every day. One was a front desk person, one was a stylist, and helped me literally pick myself up off the ground and just helped me in whatever capacity they could help me, because it was such a shock that I had to, all of a sudden my days were filled with 12 clients, 5 days a week, managing the salon, teaching on the day that I wasn't doing clients. I think you guys probably know the drill. And they showed up every single day. Let me take this and I'll do the schedule for you. Let me take this and I'll do this for you. And they actually became co-managers of mine. And it didn't happen right away. It probably happened 6 months later, because they showed up capable of doing the things that needed to be done in a moment that they really needed to be done. They're still with me today in different capacities, but they're still with the company. And so it's all about looking around and cultivating a business that promotes and honors and encourages growth. All right. So I hope some of my stories are hitting home a little bit. I know we're like coming short on time, but I have like 5 points that I want to go over, things to look for if you're looking for a manager in your business. Okay. The first one is discovering people's superpowers. And discovering people's superpower. Everyone on your team has a hidden superpower, and it's your job to find it. And I think everybody has their own powers in general. Some of them aren't great. Some of them are detrimental powers that I remember a good friend of mine said to me, kind of joking, but kind of not, a long time ago. Use your powers for good, not evil. We all have power. And I was like, oh my God, am I using it for evil? But everybody has powers. And so you want to find people's superpowers that are positive, that are contributions. And inside that, you want to see, how does your team handle things, certain things, different people handle certain situations in your company that could be a great addition to a position. A position. You don't maybe know which position that is yet. So discover people's superpowers. Maybe keep a log or a journal of each one of your staff and really start looking for people doing things extraordinary. And I think that is going to be an area where you can start looking at people a little bit different. So discover people's superpowers. Second, cultivate a growth environment. People flourish in environments where growth is encouraged, and that starts with you. So we have 3 core values that our company, it's known company-wide. It's relationships, growth, and education. And growth being one of our core values is something that we can talk about even in our one-on-ones. As growth being a core value, it's you growing in the company. Where do you see yourself? What are your deepest desires and dreams for your career? And how can I help you be that? And you may be surprised if you ask every one of your team members what those goals are that they have, you might be surprised what you find. Um, Andrea, who's been with me 24 years. She's my girl. I've always enjoyed our inner salon job fairs to get conversation started. Andre, that's such a good point. So we would have, I think it was like once or twice a year, right, Andrea? Once or twice a year, we would have a job fair of different jobs that were available in the salon, whether it was an associate team lead, to help our newer kids or mentorship program, whether it was an educator, if they wanted to be an educator, if they wanted to go into management or leadership, if they wanted to be on our outreach team where we go to the schools. We would have an internal job fair where we would make poster boards of what the job was, pictures of people doing that job, and a job description of those jobs. And we'd break people up into groups, and they'd spend about 5 minutes at each one of the tables, and they'd sign up if they were interested. So that's another way. Thank you so much, Andrea, for reminding me of that. That's another way to cultivate growth and get people even thinking. Maybe they would think, I haven't thought about that, but I think I might really like that. And so that is a way to get people thinking like, wow, this is really, if that's a core value, growth, and they're actually doing this, they're saying who they're doing, what they're doing in action and behavior, who they say they are. And that is really important too, that who you say you are aligns with how you show up every day. So I love that job fair. And then when you're meeting with your team one-on-one, asking them if they signed up or what some of their goals are as they grow in your company. And it could be just doing photo shoots, it could be doing fashion week, it could be an educator, it could be anything. How can we continue to look for their superpowers and cultivate growth? All right, number 3 is starting small for big leadership. And I talked about this at the very beginning of this live today, which is you don't need to throw them into the deep end right away. We dip our toe in the water to see if this person that I've seen some superpowers here can actually start taking on roles and tasks before I say, oh my God, I see that you're good at answering the phones. So let me make you a manager and here you go. And I need to go off and do A, B, C, D. No, just no. Okay. So let them take charge of small projects. It could be small projects with the team. It could be showing up and doing the morning huddles. It could be taking care of a schedule. It could be being in charge of the ordering. Start small and see how people start showing up before you put a title. Because I will tell you what, if you put a title on too quickly, it's very hard to remove the title if it's not working. That's a cluster F. Think about that. Oh my God, your manager, 3 months down the road, the rose-colored glasses come off and you're like, I don't want you to be my manager now. Well, you've just lost that person. I got news for you. So start slow, okay? Start with bite-sized leadership tasks. Think of it like a mini apprenticeship that each step prepares them for the bigger project. Number 4, thorough training program. Training is not a one and done. It's a continuous journey. And if you want a manager that can take over and run the show, not that you're not involved, but that you are now able to look at how we're growing the company, strategizing, all of those things that we need to do as owners. We have to constantly be growing the company, and it's hard to do when you're caught up in the day-to-day. It's almost impossible. You can't then go home and be like, oh my God, now I'm going to create a business plan for my company. No, you're zapped. You're exhausted. So a thorough training program. So a thorough training program, this is just a tip, and I don't have time to get into it, but a thorough training program for any job, whether it's education director, whether it's assistant manager, whether it's manager, is it starts with a thorough job description. The job description might be 2 or 3 pages. Yeah. Do you have job descriptions? It's a thing. The job description then turns into the training program. So if you have all of these jobs for an assistant manager, which could include closing out the drawer, it could include going to the bank, it could include doing the schedule. These all become training, and maybe you take 1 week to train each one of these things. And as you let them do it, check in on it, see how it's getting done. Okay, tick off. We'll go to the next line item the next week. And I'm going to teach you how I want this done. And I'm going to give you coaching and feedback to make sure it's done the way I need it done, not the way you think it should be done, but the way I want it done. Once you can do it the way I want it done, I'm totally okay for you coming to me and saying, hey, I've been doing it this way. I found a more efficient way. Let me run it by you. Are you okay with us doing it this way? Yeah, great. But I want you to know how to do it this way. And then you can come to me and make improvements on it. Fabulous. All right. So a thorough training program. Number 5, I wrote the cold showers of external hires. And I went over this at the top of the hour that I'm all for external hires, but not to put them in a position that you need them in right away. They have to go back to my mantra, which I want to be your mantra. Be now what you want to become. And I want you to take off your rose-colored desperate glasses of needing somebody and say, who is this person really showing up to be? An example of this, I'm going to give you one more example, and it has nothing to do with the beauty industry, but it's, to me, a perfect example of something that happened this weekend. My son is an avid airsofter. And if you don't know what airsoft is, it's like paintballing, where they go out in big fields, except they're with these big BB guns, and they're, shooting them up with their BB guns. And then they play mini games. They're like 20-minute games, and they go out, strategize, go back in. And he's out there in the field all day long. And he was out there the other week, and he got invited into a group that was playing one of the games that was out there. And he, I guess, showed up, brought a strategy to the game, worked with all the kids so everybody knew what their position was. So when they went out, they knew what their game plan was. At the end of that game, the one of the dads was out there playing with their kid, and he approached my son and said, I'm not sure if you're in the Boy Scouts or Eagle Scouts, but we have a troop here. Here's where it is. But your leadership today in getting everybody together, showing these kids where to go and what to do, and how you empowered them out on the field to show up at their best, blew me away. And I would love for you to join our troop. And my son, who was a Boy Scout and then was like, I'm out of here early on, came home and was so excited to get back into the Scouts. And we met with the gentleman the other day with our son, and he was just like, your son blew me away with his leadership skills. And they came home to tell me about it. And I said to him, this is a scenario where it's being now what you want to become. You've been talking about being in a guy group. You've been talking about leadership, being a leader. You showed up to be that leader, and you were seen for those leadership behaviors. So it has nothing to do with our industry, but it has everything to do with in life. When we show up to be that person that we ultimately want to be, and we don't wait for the perfect person or the perfect job or the perfect opportunity, and then I'll be that person. We need to be that person now, and we need to look for the person that's showing up as that person now. The journey is much easier when it is an innate skill set of theirs. So Andrea says, proud mama moment. I know, right? I was just like in tears. I was like, he's living the mantra. He showed up to be that and he was seen. And like we all want that, you know? So, all right, guys, let me just pull myself together. I mean, my God. All right. My 5 points today for hiring great leaders is discovering your people's superpowers. Look for them, get a journal, write down their superpowers. Cultivate a growth environment that people know that you actually have an environment that pushes people forward. Okay. Start small for big leaders. Okay. Start small, baby steps, like a mini apprentice. Give them little tiny projects and then another one and then another one and see if they are showing up to be that person. A thorough training program, people. You have got to have a training program. You can't give someone a job, put a stamp on their head, and then you're out the door. They need to be trained. And then the other one is don't experience the cold shower of external hires the way I did. You can hire externally, but not into a leadership role. You can hire them with the goal of them being a leader if they show up to be that leader on the journey of where they eventually want to be. So I have a question. Hi, Brenna. Can you do a class on how to compensate these positions within your budget? My God. Okay, next week. So next week, so this could be our leadership series, really, if you want. So next week, I'm happy to springboard off of what we talked about today and talk about compensation. I'm happy to do that. So next week, join us, Brenna. Thank you. Join us for a session on compensating leadership. So listen, I hope that today, why don't you guys throw me something in the comments as we're kind of heading out today? Throw me something in the comments that really resonated with you today. So let me just see if all my ranting and raving dropped in anybody's being around that would be helpful for them. So drop some comments in here, my Facebook and Instagram peeps. Let's see. What do you got? Throw something in as we close out today. What do you got? And as you're popping those in the comments, I will say when we are compensating for leadership, it is staying inside that front desk budget that I'll be going over next week. So, so we'll be talking about budgets, sales, expenses. That all ties into how we compensate our leadership. Brenna said, be now who you want to be. Yeah, be now who you want to become for sure. So, all right, guys, I love your comments. Thank you, Jeanette. Good to see you. Sam, finding people superpowers and keeping notes when we notice it. Yeah, I love that. Oh, Brenna, I love that. She's using that for her teens tonight at family dinner. Okay, don't make me cry. I'm already so emotional this week. So, you guys, thank you so much. You can see I'm a little teary today. My emotions are literally sitting right here at the front of my eyes today. So thank you for showing up every week. I love you guys so much. It is such a joy for me to be here and share my journey and bring you along with me. So have an amazing week. I'll try to not be just crying at the drop of every pin this week. All right. Or maybe I'll just be okay with it. Love you guys. Have a great week. Bye.